friends, welcome into the Early Edge NFL Prop Show Week 5 edition. I'm Claudia Bellofatto here in the CBS Sports HQ Florida studios. And today is a very special day because not only am I joined by our Uncle Dave Richards, we also have Sia in studio. Hey, Sia.
Hi, how are you? It's good to be here.
How you doing?
I'm doing very well. I was here for week 1 as well.
I remember.
Yeah, here for week 4 now, week 5.
It's week 5. You should know what week it is. Claudia just told you.
We're off to a bad start.
It's okay.
Sorry, everybody.
It's Friday. We're going to power through.
If that's the only mistake that we make this week, it's going to be a really good week.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling it's going to be a good week. Before we get to this week, though, we got to look back on the week that was, okay? Let's take a look. No, Dave, we have to. Let's take a look at week 4 and how everybody did. And Dave didn't want to get to it because he went 0-4. But, hey, this game of betting, it's ebbs, it's flows. PropStarz, he has a lot of flows. He's doing pretty good. 13-9 overall in the season. Me and Sia, 5-8, 5-9. Dave, I'm going to give you your soapbox right here. Tell us how you're feeling. And you've been doing this a while. How do you bounce back from a week?
I don't know if I need a soapbox or a dumpster, but I need to be thrown in one of the two.
No.
Look, when you have a bad week, you have a bad week. I even cursed Malik Neighbors. Now he's out for the year because I took the over on his yardage.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is remember 2 things. 1, you don't have to bet like crazy. You can be selective, and I always recommend that. And number 2, just go back to basics. Take the props that just involve players that you feel comfortable with, the players that you can count on. Don't go chasing after random players. Go with guys that are going to play a lot, and I did that this week. And so I only have 4 picks. I'm taking it easy again, but I feel like I've got some good ones. If you like what I say, you can tail. If not, you want to go against me, that works too, as long as you feel good. That's what matters the most.
And I do want to bring in PropStarz, Alex Selznick. Sorry, Alex, I didn't mean to not bring you in off the top there. Let me come over to you real quick before we head into our Week 5 picks, running through all our favorite passing, rushing, and receiving. How do you bounce back, although you didn't have a bad week like our Uncle Dave had?
Well, hello, guys, and I'm certainly not immune to having off weeks, but yeah, there's a number of things I like to do. I like what Dave said, going back to basics. I tend to look at the categories that I have the most success in. So I track all of my results. I know where I'm most profitable. Let's say it's taking running backs. I will go back and look at just a running back prop, kind of do what I know, do what I'm most comfortable doing. So I just think Dave had great advice, just going back to what you're most comfortable doing, not overthinking things. I personally really like to hammer some unders. That always seems to get me back on track. So don't overthink it is my advice.
Okay, don't overthink it. And that's what I think of when I see Sia, your quarterback prop. You're going with Jake Browning over on passing yards. To me, this is a don't overcomplicate it. They're catching 10.5 points. Game script. They're going to be playing from behind. What other reason should we bet the over?
So the other side of that argument, Claudia, is people are going to be like, why would I take a Jake Browning over? He's been horrible through, 2 weeks, or his 2 weeks starting at quarterback. But first of all, those have been on the road, and they were in very, very tough matchups. Now he gets a home game. Now, you could make the argument that Detroit is a tough matchup because they do get to the quarterback. But in terms of isolating the pressure rate, they're about middle of the pack there. So I do think Jake Brown is going to have at least some time to throw again at home. But here's the really important part. The important part is the back end of this secondary for the Detroit Lions is really, really banged up. Another couple of guys are out here. It's a chasing game script for sure. I think Cincinnati is actually going to be somewhat competitive here. I think you're going to see a Jamar Chase game, maybe a T. Higgins game. I actually kind of lean to Jamar Chase's over as well. But this over is only 214.5. I think that's low enough, again, in a negative game script. And for the record, I think Jake Browning is a lot better than people think. Those first 2 weeks as a starter this season, really, really tough matchups on the road. Really like the setup this week.
Well, Dave, you and I and Alex, we all know that sometimes you just have to plug your nose and bet it. Spencer Rattler's been cashing for me pretty much every week. He's played terrible, but he's cashing his over on attempts. He's cashing his passing yards.
There's absolutely no rule that says that you only have to bet the best players in the National Football League, and this is certainly not one of them. But the game script should absolutely be in his favor. He's got a chance to go over.
That being said, it is fun to bet some of the best performing quarterbacks. And Drake May, people, is one of those quarterbacks through the first 4 weeks. And as a Patriots fan, I'm very excited as a Patriots fan to look through our rundown and have all of us on some sort of Drake May prop. Got me very excited. So PropStarz, I'm going to send it over to you. Big divisional matchup with the Bills. How are you betting Drake May?
Yeah, I'm going over on his passing yards, guys, over 224.5 yards. I've been very impressed with Drake May thus far. He grades out as a strong starter, ranks top 10 in nearly every meaningful quarterback metric. And then this matchup against Buffalo, we've got a 50-point or nearly a 50-point total where the Patriots are underdogs. So that certainly should lend itself to potentially an uptick in passing volume for Drake May, who, again, just been very impressed by. Also, I think it was encouraging to see Stephon Diggs come alive. Hunter Henry's been a viable weapon throughout the course of the season. Sorry, Uncle Dave. I know that didn't work out for you a couple of weeks ago. But, yeah, Drake May is slinging it right now. And I like the matchup against Buffalo where they're likely to be trailing. It's likely to be a high-scoring environment as well. I'm hopeful to see increased passing volume. The Patriots have also been throwing the ball a lot as well. If we look at their pass rate over expected, basically what they're doing in neutral game environments. So this one checks all the boxes. It's also a fairly low number. And again, love what I've seen out of Drake May. We're going to back him this week.
Leading the league in completion percentage. He's right behind Josh Allen in quarterback rating, and he just talked about it. They're not throwing the ball a ton because their backfield hasn't really gotten it together. But all we need is the over on Drake May this week.
And he's had over 230 yards passing, because I looked at this prop too. I like the over as well. He's had 230 yards or more passing every game. He's thrown 23 pass attempts. That's a low number.
Yeah.
Last week he didn't get there. He only threw the ball 17 times. Patriots didn't have to do much in that game. Call me crazy. I think Buffalo's going to put some points up on your Pats. It's going to mean that Drake May is going to have to do a lot this week. So I'm a big fan of this prop for sure.
Yep.
See, I think either way this game script goes, Sia, whether the Patriots are playing from behind or it's tight at the top of the fourth quarter, like we saw with the struggling Tua and Miami Dolphins and the struggling Spencer Rattler and Saints. Patriots could keep this close back and forth. Either way, Drake May's a good play.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not going to be a super positive game script. So, yeah, just like Proppy said, in a neutral game script, negative game script, Drake May is going to be slinging it. So I like this play quite a bit.
Okay, speaking of game scripts, I'm going to go with Cam Ward this week over on attempts. It's that typical spot I've been hitting with Spencer Rattler, but it's cashing. Over 30 and the hook. Cardinals laying 7.5 here. He's had to throw a lot. He's not completing a lot of passes, but he's had to throw because they're playing from behind. Third worst accuracy rate, the worst. So we went from the best completion percentage with Drake May to the absolute worst. And as a result, they're having to throw it at the 5th highest rate in the league. And now they're facing a defense in the Cardinals that is allowing the most attempts a game at 42. I'm going over on Cam Ward, 30 in the hook. Anybody going against me, or are we all on the same page here? Sia?
I like that you're targeting the attempts versus the completions, because obviously if we're looking for an inefficient quarterback, and this isn't all on Cam Ward, by the way.
Right.
He doesn't have a lot of weapons. It's not a very good team. But I think the expectations, at least for most of this group, were that Cam Ward was going to struggle, and that's where we get to the pass attempts versus the completions. Negative game script makes a lot of sense.
It's going to be that way every week for Tennessee until proven otherwise. There's one other thing. If they bring back Tyjae Spears off of IR, if he is eligible to come off of IR, if the Titans do that, that's another weapon and a sneaky weapon that Cam Ward can lean on out of the backfield. That can help him get that pass attempts number over 31.
Yeah.
Okay, quick thoughts, Alex, over under on Cam Ward?
I also love that you chose not to bet on the efficiency, took a volume-based approach here. I think Arizona is the correct dance partner as well. They're not able to run the ball even when they had a healthy Trey Benson and James Conner. I think we're going to see a lot of passing volume in this game. Both teams have been pass funnels defensively as well. So I love this look.
I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy enough to go over on completion, so we're sticking to attempts. Don't go anywhere. After this break, we're going to get into some rushing props. We're in running backs across the league. Sia, Alex, Uncle Dave, and Claudia here with you. And maybe that guy, maybe the Patriots will get something going out of the backfield. We'll find out next here on The Early Edge. We're back here in the Early Edge NFL Prop Show, running through Week 5. We just got through our quarterback picks. Now we're going to get to some rushing. We've got Sia, Dave, Alex, and Claudia here with you. Uncle Dave, I'm going to throw it over to you first. We're going to head straight to London. Get the tea ready. You're looking at Jordan Mason with the Vikings taking on Dylan Gabriel and the Browns. What's your approach here?
You're taking the under on Jordan Mason's rushing yards. When I got it in, it was 67.5. Now the books are having it fall. I see it at 65.5, 64.5. As long as it doesn't fall under like 60.5, I'm good with this under, and it's my favorite pick of the week. It's literally right around his 4-game average over the course of the season. And his offensive line right now, this Vikings offensive line is dreadful. 3 starters missing from the game, 2 of them on the interior, 1 of them at right tackle, and they're taking on the Cleveland Browns. How have the Browns done against running backs this year? Jahmyr Gibbs had a great game last week. But I'm going to give you 3 names of running backs. Tell me if you've heard of these guys. David Montgomery, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry. You've heard of them, right?
I think so.
They've all averaged 2.5 yards per carry or lower against the Browns this year. And Jordan Mason is a 2-down runner. The game script is probably going to be a close game, believe it or not, between these 2 teams. I think Jordan Mason gets left out of it, and even if he does get in a little bit more, I think it'll be inefficiency. So I'm going to take the under on this, which means if he averages an ugly 3 yards per carry, even if he gets 20 carries in the game, it's not going to go over 67.5 yards.
Proppy, I'm curious if there's any pushback for you. I know he had a 100-yard game, but that was in a massive blowout game script against a very weak Bengals defense. Are you with Uncle Dave here on the under? Alex, are you with us?
Oh, yes, I am. I love this look.
You like it? All right.
First in rushing DVOA as far as Cleveland's concerned. Second in EPA allowed per rush. 6th in rush success rate. This Cleveland run defense has been phenomenal. They also have an excellent pass rush and their ability to get quick pressure with Myles Garrett as well. So this is a tough matchup for this Minnesota offense. As Dave mentioned, missing numerous starters on the offensive line. So I love this look from Dave. He's really sold me. I'm rushing out to bet this one.
Clearly, you're doing it right now on our show, Alex. Come on, focus, man. You got time later. Sia, you're looking at an over with Jonathan Taylor. I am with you here. I love this number, 88 in the hook in this Colts laying 7 against the Raiders. Tell us why you like it.
So if you recall last week in our lean department, I actually had Jonathan Taylor's under here, and it ended up coming in, but to be honest with you, it was kind of lucky because he ripped off the 50-yard run, and it was Adonai Mitchell's second mistake that he made in the game. Of course, letting the ball go through the end zone was the first mistake. But long story short, the under did hit last week. Maybe that's keeping this line a little honest. Now, granted, it's top in the field at 88.5, but I still like the over here. So last week I liked the under. This week at home against the Raiders defense, probably just mentioned success rate. Raiders 25th rushing defense from a success rate standpoint. I just don't think – I think the Indianapolis Colts can move the ball however they want. But we know from a volume standpoint and an efficiency standpoint, they like to do it through Jonathan Taylor. I honestly think if he had ripped off that 50-yard run and it counted, this would probably be like 93, 94.5, but it's not. So I do think we're getting a little bit value on this line that's still already incredibly high. Give me Jonathan Taylor's over 88.5. Don't forget, the implied total for the Colts is extremely high, almost 4 touchdowns, I believe. So we're going to see a lot of Jonathan Taylor production.
I think you hit the nail on the head with this team's going to move the ball in any way they want to, and they're going to do it with Jonathan Taylor, catching passes out of the backfield as well, because he's caught all but 1 of his 14 targets, which is why, Alex, I'm looking at his rushing plus receiving. It's at 107 in the hook. This is just another option. I do like Sia's play a lot, but I think they're going to use him when it comes to that passing game as well. He cashed this number, this combo, in almost rushing yards alone just a few weeks ago. Any thoughts on the combo for him?
I like it. He's certainly a competent pass catcher out of the backfield and just the true 3-down workhorse. I love this look. I think Jonathan Taylor has as much upside as any single running back in the NFL this week. He's been phenomenal. This Shane Steichen offense is just firing on all cylinders. If you stack the box, they've proven they have the weapons and the ability to attack downfield. And then, they're just playing extremely well. Daniel Jones has a great grasp of the offense. We're seeing the benefits of that in a myriad of ways. So I think they're set for a lot of success against the Raiders. taking the combination line does shield you a little bit from game script in the event that the Raiders are winning. Taylor would certainly be heavily involved as a receiver, so I like both looks quite a bit.
I loved it, and then I started looking at the matchup, and I was surprised to see the Raiders have actually done a decent job against some good running backs when it comes to defending them both on the ground and out of the backfield. But it's Jonathan Taylor. He leads the lead in avoided tackles. Like I said, he's consistent in the passing game, so I'm still going to go over. My play, though, for this section is actually going to be a quarterback play. I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes over on rush attempts. All we need is 5 or more. He leads all quarterbacks and scrambles. Dave's looking at me like he doesn't agree with me. I'm very curious. Hear me out first, okay, Uncle Dave? He leads the lead in scrambles. He leads his team in rushing yards, and he's facing a Jags front that has the 5th most pressures in the NFL. He's not getting a ton of help from his O-line. I think he's going to have to. I know the weapons around him are getting healthier, but he is at his best when he's mobile. We usually don't really see a high volume of rush attempts from him until the postseason, but I think in a spot like this where there's still a lot of doubters out there, they need another big win after last week, he's going to be flushed out of that pocket a little more sooner than we have seen the last few weeks against this Jags front. And he's cashed this in all but one, but I think he'll face even more this week.
It's a knife in my heart to hear you say he's cashed this in all but one.
And missed by the hook.
Great. Guess what? It still missed. And it was on me last week. This was the exact prop that I took last week.
Claudia.
Yeah, like this is betrayal in its highest form. And you know it's going to hit because I missed it by half an attempt last week. So I am not in a position to challenge you on this one whatsoever, Claudia. However, I do need to add that Trayvon Walker has a wrist injury if he ends up not playing in the game. That changes the tenor of this defense for Jacksonville considerably. So I would be a little bit careful about doing this if Trayvon Walker does not play and isn't there to put pressure on Mahomes.
That was really wrong of me. I genuinely didn't
Don't
remember
apologize.
that, Dave.
Let's get Mahomes to 5 rush attempts this week. I will tail you on it.
Okay, you're going to tell me. Sia, do we like this prop? He's being hit at the 4th highest rate, 4th most quarterback hits. He is getting damaged by these defensive fronts.
I like what you said about him potentially getting flushed out of the pocket and creating a rush attempt. I was the guy that was saying, hey, this Jags defense really isn't any good last week, remember? And it looks like maybe I was wrong there, that they are pretty good in that front with Walker is going to be pretty good. But long and short of it is, it's a prop I would probably stay away from. I think there's just so much variance in these rushing attempt props. But that's me, because I'm saying that because I don't bet them a lot. So you and Dave know better about these rushing attempt props than I do.
And Proppy, I know you didn't have a bet you loved here. Any thoughts on Mahomes, or maybe one that you were leaning towards?
With Mahomes, we know the Chiefs are a pretty conservative offense, and you can obviously count on usually some kneel downs as well, both in the first half and at the conclusion of the game. So I don't mind these. Also, Mahomes has had to run out of sheer necessity as well. So I think it's a good look. As far as running back props that I have my eye on, Zach Charbonnet, I like fading. Zach Charbonnet has not played well for Seattle. Kenneth Walker has been significantly better, especially according to many advanced metrics. Charbonnet, despite that, has continued to play a good amount, having returned from the injury, but facing a Tampa Bay run defense that is extremely stout. This looks like a good spot, in my opinion, to fade Charbonnet. So his rushing line is 37.5 yards. I'd be surprised if he goes for double-digit carries. I think he's going to have a really hard time running against this very stout Tampa Bay front seven.
All right, and in this $4, I see a lot of nodding heads. So it looks like we all agree with you, although it is a lean for you. All right, everybody, don't go anywhere. We've done quarterbacks. We've done running backs. We've done rushing quarterbacks. And now we're going to get to some receivers and tight ends here on the early edge. Don't go anywhere. That guy taking the league by storm. It's a Football Friday, week 5 here on the Early Edge in studio with Uncle Dave. Sia, I'm Claudia. We got Alex, PropStarz Sales Nick, joining us as well. We ran through quarterbacks. We ran through running backs. Now we're going to get to some receivers and tight ends. And Sia, I'm going to come to you with a rookie wide receiver who's leading all rookies right now in targets, and Tetairoa McMillan for the Panthers.
Yeah, he's got, 8, 10, and 10 targets, or 8, 8, and 10 targets over the last 3 weeks. It's a lot of targets. The problem is he's attached to a quarterback that's not very good, right? And I made this statement after week 1 where I did pretty poorly week 1. I said I really don't want to attach a lot of receiver props to quarterbacks that can't get it done. However, when the line becomes short enough for me to take a second look, that's what I'm going to do. I'm taking Tet McMillan's over 59.5 receiving yards. I do like the fact that Bryce Young is at home here against the Miami Dolphins defense. It doesn't really cover outside receivers very well. I think this defense is tattered in a number of ways, but they're particularly bad against outside receivers. And I think Tet McMillan, if he's going to get 8 to 10 targets like he has in the last 3 games that the Carolina Panthers have had, I think even Bryce Young at home is going to be able to connect with him in a likely neutral game script, maybe a negative game script, but a likely neutral game script. I see a lot of targets going to Tet McMillan. I see a little bit better efficiency against these Miami DBs. Give me over 59.5 receiving yards. I'd play this up to probably 62, maybe even 63.5.
He had 9 targets in week 1, too, and he's cashed his yardage prop in all but 1. Dave, any thoughts on T.Y.?
I wonder if you know off the top of your head what his receptions line is, because I think I'd rather go that way than the yardage, and it doesn't have anything to do with the matchup. It's just more so about the limitations that Bryce Young has. And I know Xavier Legette's coming back. One thing we talked about on Fantasy Football Today this week was how McMillan has not been a big factor at all in the red zone, inside the 10. Even when Bryce Young, on the rare occasion when he throws into the end zone, it hasn't been McMillan. Believe it or not, Legette, who's missed a couple games, has more of those high-value targets than McMillan has this season. And it could be defenses just taking him away because they know he's the number 1 guy. And the Dolphins could do the exact same thing. So the receptions are the ones that I would actually play.
So
4.5.
I love 4.5, thank you.
I love it.
But it's, as
like
you say, it's juicy at 135. Best price at BetMGM, though. We're seeing this up towards north of minus 150 at other shops. So MGM minus
135. It's a little too rich for my cheap blood, but that's something that I would consider.
The only counter, because I like the receptions line as well, 40% air yards share for Tet McMillan. So if I'm right that the efficiency is going to tick up a little bit because of how Miami treats these outside wide receivers, I think he maybe gets there on both.
Okay.
Alex, I know you have a bunch of props here, which, by the way, if you miss anything here on this show, go to the SportsLine page because all of these props and more, sides, totals, every sport is on that website. Alex, I know you have a lot of receiver props. Let's go to Emeka Egbuka first because he is that second rookie behind T-Mac when it comes to targets. Tell us why you like the under on him, though, this week.
Yeah, I'm going under on his receptions at 5.5. This is a big number for Egbuka. He's only eclipsed this in 1 game this week. Granted, no Mike Evans, but what we saw last week from Tampa Bay, I was actually encouraged by Chris Godwin's usage. Despite not running a full complement of routes, he was heavily targeted when he was on the field. We're also not using Egbuka in the slot. They're primarily going with a committee there led by Sterling Shepard. So Egbuka is primarily going to be lining up outside, and this is a difficult matchup for outside receivers against a Seattle pass defense that, in my opinion, is as good as any pass defense in the NFL. The metrics certainly back that up as well. They have been absolutely elite. Very, very stingy pass defense. So this is a tough spot and a big number for Egbuka. Both of these teams like to run the football as well. We know, that we'll see a lot of running likely in this game. I just don't think there's going to be enough passing volume in most game scripts to support Egbuka getting 6 receptions. So I think this is a good spot to fade him under 5.5 receptions. Yeah,
the Seattle front number 1 in pressure rate, top 2 in DVOA. Dave, I know you're going with a player that he just mentioned in Chris Godwin. If Emeka Egbuka's under, Chris Godwin's over?
When I go out to an Italian restaurant, my favorite pasta is Propadelli because I'm on the same page with PropStarz. And I love the over on Chris Godwin's yardage. And it's high. It's 52.5. He had 26 yards last week. Why is this number so high? We will get to that. Proppy talked about it. Chris Godwin looked good last week. He actually seemed to get better as the game went on. I'm very encouraged by how Chris Godwin looked, especially coming back from a significant ankle injury that cost him a lot of time last year and some time this year. And I disagree with Prop on one thing. I think Tampa Bay struggles to run the football in this game. Bucky Irving's ruled out. It's Rachaad White. It's Sean Tucker. It's a Seahawks defense. They're good everywhere against the run, through the air. But Proppy's right about the slot coverage. They haven't been great there. A little bit has to do with Devon Witherspoon not playing. But I think Godwin serves as a versatile option who's going to get work. Back to the number. It's 52.5. Why is it so high? Because they want you to take the under. They want you to think that it's just way too high of a number, and they want to make it easy for you to take the under on Chris Godwin after he didn't get a lot of catches or a lot of yards in his first game back last week. I want to go the other way. I don't want to do what the odds makers want me to do. I think he goes over 52.5 yards. And the juice, Claudia, isn't bad. It's minus 112.
There we go. It's digestible for Uncle Dave. See, I'm going to ask you to pick between 3 Bucs players, because I also have a Bucs player I'm going over on, and tight end K. Dotton. And hear me out. It's a very low number at 2.5 catches, okay? And that is because he hasn't been seeing targets. But don't forget, last season, he was targeted at the 4th highest rate with Trey McBride, Travis Kelce, Hunter Henry. The targets haven't been there, so this line has dropped, but it hasn't adjusted to these injuries. You just said it. No Mike Evans, no Bucky Irving, and it's the perfect matchup. Seattle's giving up the most catches to tight ends in the league. Every single tight end they have faced has had at least 4 catches. We saw Juwan Jennings have 7. Juwan Johnson, I should say, have 7. Trey McBride have 7. This is too low of a number in a spot where I don't think the market has adjusted appropriately, Sia.
I agree with you. I just don't know what to expect from K. Dotton. I mean, you asked me initially to pick my favorite of the Tampa Bay receivers. By the way, I think Rachaad White over 22.5 receiving yards. Again, I think Seattle's going to dominate this game, even though it's a kind of a tight spread.
Sure.
I could see a negative game script. Of the 3, I really like Chris Godwin. I like his receptions too. Just to counter what you said about my prop, I think the receptions is great. I think Chris Godwin's going to be the safety blanket rest of season for Baker Mayfield, and I think we're going to see a lot of short area stuff, maybe down the field a little bit. Short area stuff, 3rd down conversions. We see a lot of that from Chris Godwin when he's healthy. I like Chris Godwin a lot.
And I don't mean to be a scalding curling iron that hits your leg, but K. Dotton has been more of a blocker than a receiver so far this year. It's out of necessity for Tampa because their main tight end, O'Keefe, on injured reserve. So they've asked K. Dotton to do a little bit more of the blocking work instead of being targeted from Baker Mayfield. It makes me a little nervous to go with you on this one.
But you would think with no Bucky out of the backfield, who also serves sometimes as that short yardage situation in the passing game, they're going to have to use Cade, right?
No, I think they use Rachaad White, and that's who Sia was talking about, and he's been an established pass catcher for them. No showdown threat here from me. Because the number's too low. It's only 2.5. 3 catches.
And he's cashed
don't know. Maybe I do want to think about it.
He's cashed it in 2 of the last 3 weeks. So it's not like I'm just pulling this out of thin air.
No.
It's not like he hasn't had 3 catches. And it was up to 3.5. Market did move it down 1. But I still think the price is not right when it comes to the juice with the injuries in play. Dave wants to fight me on this, but we're not going to. We'll move on. PropStarz, I know you have a few more. We'll get to those after the break, because coming up, we're going to get to our best bets, anything we missed. Oh, look at that helmet. The old-fashioned helmet and Drake May. One of the best quarterbacks in the NFL 2025, baby.
Relax.
Stat-wise,
Relax.
we'll be back. Hello, friends. We're back here on the Early Edge, wrapping up Week 5 props. And Alex, you had a few that we didn't get to in that last block as we were talking receivers. Talking about Garrett Wilson over on receiving against Dallas. A short line here under that key number of 3. Dallas laying 2.5.
Yeah, I'm going over 62.5 receiving yards for Garrett Wilson, who has been the clear focal point and the engine of this Jets offense. He has an absolute stranglehold as far as target share is concerned. He ranks first in the NFL in that category. The Jets have an extremely concentrated target distribution. It is Garrett Wilson. He is the show as far as when the Jets decide to pass the ball, and he's been very efficient. He's also getting open at a very high rate as well. The advanced metrics suggest that he is basically running a little bit cold, and he's due for some positive regression. So I love this matchup against Dallas, who has just an atrocious pass defense. They give up a ton of production to opposing number one wide receivers. Dallas's offense is also capable of potentially pushing the Jets to have to air the ball out. But what I love about this is even in a neutral game script, we know the Jets are a low volume passing attack. They're still going to target Garrett Wilson heavily, pretty much regardless of the game script. So I think this is a potential spike week and a ceiling week for him. I love him to go over 62.5 receiving yards.
See, every time I bet on the Jets, I hold my breath, and I basically don't watch the game, or I watch it through my hands. And that's sort of the same way when I bet any of the player props. Justin Fields will be up, cash it, and then not even come close to what I bet on him the next week. So I'm scared to bet these players. How do you feel about Proppy's play with Garrett?
I love this. I like these guys from a DFS standpoint, too. Any team where I know the concentration of targets is very limited with respect to, like, there's so many teams we could talk about, but the Jets, from a DFS standpoint, it's like Breece Hall and it's Garrett Wilson, and then it's call it a day unless you want to play Justin Fields as well. Yeah. This is one of the props I was going to bring to the show as well. In fact, we're going to hear another prop about Omari and Hampton. I don't want to jump the gun too much, that I was also going to bring. So I absolutely love this play. And again, when the target share is so concentrated, it really helps you zero in on the prop. Yeah. That doesn't mean it's going to hit every time because the market is going to reflect what it should. But I really like this play on Garrett Wilson, especially against this Cowboys defense.
This is a ladder play. This is one where you take the over right away, and then you start to put lower amounts on over 70 yards, over 80 yards, over 90 yards. I think he can absolutely get to triple digits against the Cowboys.
Okay, I love it. Lots of confidence in Garrett Wilson this week. You said Omari and Hampton, so let's go there. Dave, I know that's one of the props you're looking at this week, Washington and the Chargers. You're going over, I'm assuming?
I am going over 70.5 rushing yards, minus 115. And yes, the offensive line is an issue for the Chargers without Joe Alt there at left tackle. But game script should keep Hampton in the mix. I don't expect the Commanders to build a huge lead in this game. And his rush attempt total is curiously high at 16.5. And Claudia, it's juiced to the over. So the odds makers expect him to get a lot of work. Only's been over this once. It was last week. But that's the week that he became the feature back for the LA Chargers. I think with LA's tackles, both missing, they're on second string on both ends. The interior line is still okay. I think Justin Herbert's going to be under a lot of pressure. This offense might look a lot different than it has in the first 4 weeks of the season. I think they lean on the ground game. I think Hampton has plenty of opportunities to get some chunk plays on the ground. I don't know if he's going to get to 100. I don't know if I want to ladder this one. But getting to 75, 78 rushing yards against the Commanders, I think he can do it. Take the over.
Had that 54-yard rush against the Giants to get him up over close to 130 last week. But again, that's tough to do. He is seventh
Even without
best.
that run, I'm sorry to cut you off, but even without that run, he was over 70.5 yards.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love this number. And again, I like to look at the avoided tackle rate. He's seventh in that as well, so very efficient. I know that you like Hampton as well this week. Did you mention him, or I thought you liked him? Maybe.
No, I absolutely like him.
I'm like, you love him, right?
Well, so the only watch out is I like this Washington defense right now. I don't think is very good. I think it's a lot worse than people think. So maybe they do it through the air versus the ground. But I think the Chargers kind of roll in this game. I think they cover the spread of 2.5, 3 in some places. And Omari and Hampton isn't just the feature back; he's the back. He's going to get all the carries, and there's very few backfields where you know a guy's going to get, saving injury, of course, you know a guy's going to get like 80 to 90% of the rushing attempts. I think Omari and Hampton is now in that category.
All right, I love it. We got a few more I want to get to. So, Poppy, we'll come to you with Trey McBride. Another over here on receiving yards, 63 in the hook against the Titans. Titans catching 7.5 here.
Indeed, yeah. Trey McBride has been the best pass-catching tight end in the NFL this season, and he is the clear engine of this Cardinals passing attack. You can build the plane out of Trey McBride. What I mean by that is you can have success making him the key focal point of the passing offense, and that's what the Cardinals have done. Kyler Murray, his play has been inconsistent, but he hasn't been that bad. But I love this matchup against Tennessee. Tennessee, you can pick your poison against. They're a pass funnel when it calls for it, and they're a run funnel as well. But we know this Arizona backfield just lost Trey Benson, doesn't have James Conner. When they had both these backs, they weren't running the football very effectively. So I think we're going to see a lot of passing volume from Arizona this week. I think they're going to choose to attack Tennessee that way. And I think Trey McBride is in line for a big day. If you look at his metrics, whether it's yards per route run, target share, air yard share, splash zone targets, first read targets, it profiles as a wide receiver one, much less a tight end. So he does not come off the field. He runs all the routes, and he's heavily targeted. So I love Trey McBride. I love this spot for him against Tennessee. Let's go over 63.5 receiving yards.
Averaging almost 10 yards a catch, too. And Alex, I think, just hit every stat that we needed. Anything to add for Trey McBride?
I think they want you to take the under on this. This is another one of those red flag lines that I'm always on the lookout for, especially after the first few weeks of the season. He's only gone over this once over the first 4 games. I think this is a week where he can have better efficiency on his catches and get north of 65 yards.
Okay, and we're going to get to some of those red flag lines at the end of this, but I want to hit Drake May one more time because we didn't talk about him enough. Dave said he wanted to talk about him more. This isn't me.
Yeah.
Dave said, I want to talk about his rushing. So tell us, Dave.
Well, Claudia always loves talking about the Patriots, and we can do that for the full hour maybe some other time. But I think he gets over 28.5 rushing yards against Buffalo. It's at -117. We know that Buffalo gets pressure at the second highest rate, and their defensive line is going to get healthy. It looks like Ed Oliver's got a chance to play this week. Matt Milano's coming back. That's actually going to take pressure off of them when they do blitz because Milano can cover as a linebacker. And when he's pressured, Drake May, like a lot of quarterbacks, has a tendency to scramble. And when he scrambles, Claudia already knows where I'm going with this. He's averaging over 7 yards per carry on those unscripted runs. I think he's going to have to do a lot of that. I also think he's going to get a couple of scripted runs in the game. Not that he has a good rushing average with them, but it'll help pepper the number and get north of 30. I think he gets there, Drake May, over 28.5 rushing yards.
I love it. Ladder it. It's what he did at UNC. I'm just kidding. It's what he did at UNC. It's what he did last year.
He's done it a bunch this year.
Second highest scramble rate behind Jaden Daniels. He's picking up right where he took off. Any thoughts on Drake May, whether it is rushing? I know we've already talked about him a bunch. Do you like
I don't know if I told you. I also have a Drake May prop.
Another one?
No, not really.
Oh.
I just felt like I was left out of the party.
To rush for a touchdown? I'd take it.
Claudia will hear any Drake May prop at this point.
All right,
what color suit will he be wearing to the stadium?
Dave covered it. You covered it. Proppy covered it. We're good on Drake.
Okay.
The Drake.
All right, fine. As long as it's not the. Did you guys see the suit that Mac Jones was wearing?
Yeah, but it worked.
The black and the red. I know.
Mac Jones and Daniel Jones, the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Seriously, what is going on?
Look it up.
Speaking of red flags, red flag lines. There's a few more you want to get to. You mentioned Chris Godwin was one of them. Maybe Trey McBride, where the lines feel a little off, and you think, Uncle Dave, it's because the books are trying to get you.
I think they're trying to get you to take the under on Tua Tagovailoa over 32.5 pass attempts. I think he goes under there. I think the Dolphins will be able to run the ball effectively for a change. That's against Carolina. J.K. Dobbins has been red hot in fantasy for sure, but he's going up against Philadelphia.
Under.
The number is 51.5. They want you on the over. That's a low line for Dobbins. I think the under's in play there. Both of the Chiefs running backs have rushing lines under 30 yards, and you see that and you think, well, these are 2 guys that can get you 30 yards. No, they can't. Not this week against Jacksonville, especially because that Jaguars defense actually has been good against the run. And then one other name, Ladd McConkey. People took him in fantasy, and they are so ticked off at what he's delivered. His line is 58.5 yards. That one is served up on a platter for you to take the under. Don't do it. Not this week. He's going over.
I get
Uncle Dave is looking out for all of you. We appreciate it. Okay, we have run through all of our favorite props. When we come back from the break, we're giving you our best bets of the weekend. Don't go anywhere here on The Early Edge. All right, friends, before we go, it's time to recap this lovely past hour here with Dave, Sia, Claudia, and Alex. We're going to run through all of our best bets, and then we're going to pick one of each other's at the end of the show. Let's run through Alex PropStarz favorite bets of the week. We're going to see a lot of Drake May on these graphics. Drake May over passing, Garrett Wilson over receiving, Emeka Egbuka going under on catches there, and then an over for Trey McBride on receiving yards. All right, let's see what Uncle Dave likes for this week. Some Jordan Mason under on rush yards. Drake May over on the rush yards there. I might have to tail that one. Omarion Hampton over 70 in the hook. We had a lot of chat about that one. And then Chris Godwin over 52 in the hook. And Sia, give me Jake Browning over on passing yards for the Bengals. Game script, people. Jonathan Taylor over on rushing, which I love. And then Tedoroto McMillan leading all rookies in the league right now in targets. And I'm, again, going to go with game script for my quarterback and Cam Ward over on attempts. Don't need the completions, just the attempts. Patrick Mahomes over on rush attempts facing that Jags front. And then give me a little K. Dotton. This is his week, people. I feel it. All I need is 3 or more catches. Now let's go around the table and pick one prop of each other's that we really like. And Sia, you're in studio with us. I'll give you first dibs. Which prop really spoke to you?
There's so many that came to mind. I like your Cam Ward one. I think I liked the Jordan Mason under. I like the Omarion Hampton. But I'm going with PropStarz, Garrett Wilson over 62.5 receiving yards.
Why would you go with that one? Of all the props, why would you even choose that one? That's great. That's the one I like. That's the one that I think is the best prop of the week. Love that look very much, Proppy. Garrett Wilson over 70.5 if you find it that high. Sorry if it's that high, but my goodness, he should have a big game.
Well, to avoid the kiss of death, I will not go with Garrett Wilson. I'll go with Drake May because why not?
Well, which Drake May?
Most scrambles, yeah. I'll go rushing. I'll go with you, Dave. I'll ride with you, Uncle Dave. We'll go over on rushing. Like I said, they're at their best when he's at his best, and that's on the ground using his legs. Getting flushed out of the pocket, that's fine, but extending plays, which he does very well with his legs. Third most scrambles in the league right now. I'm going to go with Drake May over on rush yards. Alex, where are you going?
I'm going to go with cousin Sia here. I love the Jake Browning look versus Detroit. Just 215 passing yards. Yes, he makes a lot of mistakes, but we're not betting on efficiency here. We're betting on volume, and I think there's going to be plenty of it in this matchup. I also think he's a little bit better, as Sia also mentioned, than maybe the general consensus is about him. He's going to sling it. He's going to attack down the field. He'll have no choice, really. We know Cincinnati's really struggled to run the ball effectively as well. So I think he goes way north of this number.
I do want to ask you guys quickly, because we got a few more minutes. Dylan Gabriel getting the start for the Browns, which pushes Shedeur Sanders down to that third-string quarterback position. Any thoughts on this rookie quarterback making his first start, the first NFL quarterback to have his first start outside of the States? Any thoughts on how he might do out there?
I've studied it, and the 2 lines that I looked at was, and I think I'm only going to name the one because I know we don't have a ton of time. Dylan Gabriel under 31.5 yards for his longest completion. It's at minus 121. Not an official play, but I think they keep it simple. This is a Vikings pass rush that's going to be in his face all the time. Yeah. He's got to get that ball out quick. So unless one of these pass catchers in Cleveland breaks a tackle or 3 and runs for 35 yards, something like that. And I think they've only had 2 plays this year, Cleveland has, over 32 yards downfield. I don't think it happens. I think this is an interesting under to take.
The sides here, I love catching the 4.5. Browns defense, one of the best in the NFL. I think that Dylan Gabriel will do enough because he's not going up against J.J. McCarthy, although he wasn't doing good. It's Carson Wentz on the other side, and there are some holes on that Vikings defense. So I think the Browns defense will keep it close enough. Grabbing the 4.5, and it's in London, people.
They could have gotten away with 7 as that line, and they still would have had action on both sides. The fact that it's lower than 7 makes me think that Cleveland is a live dog in the game.
Yep.
Live dog, yeah. All in agreement there. Any thoughts on the side there, Proppy?
No thoughts on the side, but I just wanted to point out very quickly, I will be in the SportsLine Discord starting at 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific for an hour, answering any of your questions. I encourage any of you SportsLine subscribers to get into the Discord. Let's chop it up. And if you're not a SportsLine subscriber, what are you doing?
There we go. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Have a great weekend.